Welcome, everyone, to San Antonio by Night, episode 10. Tonight we are following Urien once again as he continues to follow leads and prowl around the Alamo City, searching for clues regarding some certain things that have come up recently. Previously, he had been called to the Baron's home to explain the situation as to what happened with Wolf and to learn a few things about a certain Ventrue who may be on the hunt for him, coming in from Mississippi, where Urien previously helped to thwart the rule of Prince Marius Calhoune of the Camarilla. So, it's a new night, and with all of these things kind of creeping in the background of the city, Urien finds himself alone. Having taken Alfonso and taken up going to ground with a friend who had helped her to get to San Antonio to begin with. So, with the teacher having no pupils at the current moment, he's alone with his thoughts. He is alone to do as he pleases. So, Urien, what are you doing right now?
I am preparing myself. I do not begrudge him for going to ground. Oftentimes we must, in times of uncertainty. I, however, cannot afford such luxuries. So now, I am left with little recourse. I hunger. And unfortunately, due to my particular tastes, it means that I have to end up keeping in mind. Well, let's just say that it will not be an easy evening. It helps when I have pupils. With her taking Alfonso, M has deprived me of a valuable resource. It's like a project you've started and you're seeing it just take off the ground and then it crumbles in your hands to ash. I find myself angered. I'm more fragile than ever, and with Mr. Calhoune coming into the city, things are about to get very, very dangerous. I have no qualms with it, but I have to end up being aware of my own limitations. But boldness has been my only true defense. I'm frustrated. And in order to calm myself, I have taken the early evening to read, to scroll musings, burning letters to people who'll never read them. focusing. But I cannot stay in this haven. I am wandering empty rooms. I walk past Wolf's room. Wolf who took the wrong teachings. Thought that because I told him to not become an animal, that he could become more of a beast. In misinterpreting the lesson, he became less. And that fault falls to me. M has gone to ground. I have become so focused on building M that I have not solidified my own position. To be truthful, it's a position I cannot do on my own. I need to find more allies. But given what I am, that is a nebulous proposal. I look at M's room. I miss her playing with her cards, trying to read them. And I am finding myself clenching the opening of the door like the wood wishes to splinter. Would I would have such strength. I don't know what else to do. Except go forward.
A single kindred, alone. The hour is still early. You have the rest of moonlight to do as you wish. Reading doesn't seem to be calming the frustrations like it maybe usually does. Just kind of leaves you alone with your idle thoughts. Not even paying attention to the words in the page.
It is frustrating. When I head back down, I check the van folder. Various things. My eye that can see past what most will not. Looks about. I have no doubt, even if I can't see them, that the Nosferatu watch this haven. Björn, no doubt, has curried much favor amongst his kind. And with the hatred for Delgado, he has powerful allies. Would they wish it, I would be ended. I almost welcome them trying. If the van is clear, I begin to start up. It's time to call in the interest in Björn.
You sweep the van with the usual meticulousness that you do every night that you do go out, and still find nothing. You begin to wonder if this city even has the desire to even follow your vehicle. Does this city follow you? Does this city know you?
No. They know my name, they do not know me. That is a benefit. Have them guessing, have them wondering. But I cannot help but find the rage inside. I begin to drive. I roll down the window even just to end up getting the cool night air upon my dead skin as I continue onward. I hunger.
Well, let's go
As
ahead
I
and see if that beast is a little more hungry than you left it last night.
Thankfully not.
Just that same tickle in your belly that you felt when you fell asleep in the day sleep. Not worse, thankfully. Would you continue to drive, feeling that cool air, though you know that summer approaching, the sticky heat is coming, and those short nights, those very, very short nights. So, where are you going?
First, I need to end up hunting down, or hunting more than anything, before I end up facing Baron Batista. I must feed. I keep an eye out. I look amongst the common hangouts, the places where a thin blood thinks they might get away with it. I took time to design this domain to be sure that the market was filled. Much blood upon the streets. Very easy feeding. Low defenses. What a wonderful honey trap I have designed.
What a wonderful honey trap indeed. But with the knowledge that you also carry this domain, and not many people knowing that you are alone in your domain at this point, you begin to drive. How do you plan to find another thin blood? Are you hitting up some local hotspots, maybe some bars into town?
I have always made it a point to... I am currently using my knowledge, my memory, as I investigate clues. The usuals. You know, the corner market, the guard who ends up wandering outside of the mall. These individual people who become my eyes and ears throughout the domain, willingly or not, for suspicious activities. There are always something. Everybody's seen them, but there are only a few who know to look. So I think that would be either a intelligence or wits plus investigation plus lane.
To know where people hang out, you would use intelligence, yes.
Your choice.
But since you're specifically looking for something to feed upon, I want a resolve plus investigation. How
Resolve
long?
plus investigation.
Resolve
3
plus.
lane.
Lane actually would not apply to this.
Oh, okay.
This is a feeding roll. You do make 3 successes, which is the requirement for feeding in your domain, so it takes a while. It takes an hour, maybe hour and a half. You begin to wander with your vehicle through the different spots that you know people regular. And you pick up on the trail of someone who might be looking to feed in your domain. And the reason that you know that they are kindred is because it is another Nosferatu. Unseen, tracking someone to feed upon themselves.
I will approach calmly, watching them, not to scare their prey. I step purposeful, walking towards this Nosferatu.
As Nosferatu sees you coming and is curious as to why exactly it is that you could see them, but doesn't go to leave.
I stay close enough that they can hear me. I take a look up and I see the prey that has their attention, and I speak to them. Does that one interest you so?
Maybe.
Well, what a wonderful haunt you are.
Haunt?
Which... To what name do you take, little haunt?
Fisk.
Fisk. I don't think we've had the pleasure of introduction.
I've heard of you, though.
Have you now?
Word gets around, Mr. Doyle.
Then perhaps you also know that I have not ended up permitting you to feed on my domain.
Just watching for now.
With intent to take what is on my lands, that I guard for Delgato.
You've saved me the trouble of seeking you out.
Speak your intent, then.
May I feed on your domain? I have a long night ahead of me.
Fisk, may you? That depends. What is in it for me?
What do you seek?
Information.
Nosferatu are good at that.
So I'm told. But I am told it is only Mr. Duval who can do what I end up requiring. I doubt someone like you, Mr. Fisk. I kind of fish through the memory trying to think, okay, have I ever heard this name, or is this a new individual?
Give me an intelligence politics.
I'm willing to spend a willpower on that.
Okay.
I can't. Dark dice.
It's an unfamiliar name. You don't get the sense that this person has done anything of in recent history since you've been in the city to really provide themselves with clout, but you also know that kindred are a patient species and will take opportunities when the time is right. Perhaps the time hasn't come for this particular kindred.
I need... I need a... message sent.
Seems pretty simple. To whom?
That is the interesting thing. Do you perchance know of Baron Batista?
Not personally.
Now you understand why it is that Björn is the one who interests me. So, since you cannot provide that, you might best to end up coming with some form of gift or alternative.
I may not know her personally, but I know where her common meeting places are.
Deliver such, and I will allow you to feed on my domain, not just this night, but continued information for continued feeding rights, along with a small point for myself. I find Nosferatu can be quite agreeable under right circumstances.
Alright.
Unless you want M to take your head off, but I'm pretty sure you don't want to do that, as I'm fairly certain Wolf, shame as it was, has already reached your ear.
What a sad little man he was.
But he was one of yours, nevertheless.
It's very true. I'll deliver your message.
Fantastic.
What message do you have?
I wish to speak. That's all. I wish to end up speaking about a familiar problem they may have.
Personal audience with the Baron at the small man's request. I'll deliver it. I can't promise she'll respond. But she may.
She will.
We'll see.
Well,
does that work
allow
for
me
you?
to He walks out towards the individual who has this that Fisk has his eye on. And it probably doesn't take much. I'm pretty sure you're not going to make me roll for it, as I have this individual currently following me in a dazed state.
This person does follow. Follows your every word.
Is this person of importance?
They don't seem particularly well dressed. They're common street folk.
Fantastic.
Pretty, though.
Well, if that's the case, I am going to drag them right across this individual's path.
And Fisk follows as well, unseen, and looks to you just to confirm before
nods.
taking a bite, satiating themselves, and leaving the person.
I am going to interrupt when that happens.
All right.
I am going to end up casting upon him in the fear, trying to end up saying, "Careful." Oh, that's not good. I'll see on what he rolls it as opposed before I choose, but
What?
going to tell him to drink deep.
Okay.
More specifically, to fill. I'm going to egg the beast on.
Okay. And what is the resistance for compel?
Compel.
I don't
If I
actually have a
recall
character
off.
sheet for this person, but we'll see.
Oh, it's fair. Probably gonna resist me anyway. Given the fact that I have dark dice apparently today. But the resistance is intelligence plus resolve. So probably not that high.
Yeah. Well, let's go with.
We'll see where his strengths lie.
Let's see where he is. He
I
does
can't
get
beat that.
3 successes though.
I can't beat that. So when I pretend to walk like as if I'm going past him to let him enjoy his feeding. It's at that point I will feed on him as he feeds on her.
All right. And so you do attempt to compel him though.
Yes.
So he does hear the verbal command that you do give.
Whether he recognizes it as a command or not is up to him.
Just the one word. And what word was that? Sorry, what words were you using to try and compel him? If you're answering, you're muted.
Drink deep.
Drink deep. Okay.
Yep. Getting used to this new mute way.
he eyeballs you when you say that, and does go to drink.
Okay. And when he does, that's when I'm gonna try and catch him off guard.
All right. Go ahead and roll for giggles. Strength brawl +2 for catching him off guard. Okay. So you are able to get your teeth in. He does notice that you do this.
Don't care.
And doesn't fight you off at first, but how many points are you taking?
He's gonna hate me for this. I'm gonna take 2 points.
You're gonna take 2. Okay.
I told him to drink deep.
And so when you start to draw that thick viscous vitae out of him, it does take longer for you to draw on him than for him to draw on the individual he's feeding off of. And so when he does finish the feeding that he intended, he does turn around and go to pull you off of him. You do get the 2 points so far, but
I will leave without. I will let go with no hesitation. With a quick lick and a step away, I look at him. I let him see that his blood is on my fangs before licking it off and popping them back in.
So that's how you take your payment.
I look at the individual who he just fed upon.
They're still kind of dazed. They're still in those throes.
Are they about to be hospitalized?
They look like one would when they normally when you know that enough is enough.
Fantastic. Well, finish your meal, or find another. It is of no consequence. But if I hear that this little bit got out, well, you're a Nosferatu, you'll tell. That's fine. But do you still hunger greatly?
I'll find something else.
Good. Please ask permission anytime. Because if you do not, the next time I find you, no one else will.
If you intended to take my meal from me, you could have just told me no.
What fun would that be? And last time I checked with Nosferatu, you deal in information. You just got a little bit of a nugget.
It's a pretty tasty one, too. Thank you.
I am fair. Oh. He starts walking before the person comes out of their stupor.
Mm.
As a point, ask around on what happened in Jackson. And what happened the last time. We ended up having someone lord something over our heads. It might save your life.
I'll read my history. And
Be well, Fisk.
And with that, Fisk goes to leave and is no longer seen. Leaving the meal that they had dazed and confused.
It's at that point I walk off. I can get back to my van, checking it as I do.
Mm.
That should end up getting the attention. That should press the concern. You will tell Buer. Buer will inevitably have to end up telling Baron Batista. The fact that I mentioned familiar problems would concern her greatly, given that she is a Ventrue. If she is well informed, she would have an idea as to who I am referring to. I suspect I will be getting, well, some sort of near communication. I am gonna go back to my haven. Toreador may return. The Nosferatu may return. Delgado or Batista may return. I don't hide where I sleep. But I do need to find a second place. A new place. This is a good meeting ground, this cabin. Isolated. But it is not a true haven anymore. They know where I am. And so I go home. And I begin to circle the grounds. Park the van. And sit, waiting. Occasionally studying the runes that protect and ward this haven. Trying to understand them, trying to better myself. Reflecting upon the blood that has been taken. Does it have a particular quantity, or quality, I should say?
Go ahead and give me a Wits or Resolve plus Occult.
Wits or Resolve plus. I have time. I have nothing but time.
Okay. With 3 successes and your knowledge of the blood sorcery that you possess, some of the studies that you've done since living in Jackson, you come to understand that the ward specifically is geared toward malicious poltergeists.
I have more than a few. What of the blood that I have taken from Fisk?
With your taste of blood, the you
Does
know.
it have resonance of any sort?
Let's see what he had.
I cannot afford to pull punches, but at this point I can't be picky either.
It's nothing super strong. You get the sense that he's not a very picky eater when it comes to the kinds of people that he feeds upon. So it's a mixed bag of this and that. Nothing terribly strong. You don't get the sense that he's adventurous in any way.
More's the pity. I've already had to reveal myself too much because I've now become... It's so much easier with students. Students, there's deniability. With Alfonso, there was consistency. I do not have this now, but I can't let them know that.
Must keep appearances, mustn't you?
Yes. And if I am willing to give that information, the assumption must be made either I'm incredibly foolish or I have more leverage than I actually have. We'll see on how the kindred of San Antonio are soon enough. I wander the grounds, looking on the horizon for other places I may call home. Nearby, but not obvious. Just musing. I await for the first arrival. I've left out enough feelers. Somebody will be hunting me tonight, I know this.
And so you wait for a little while. Maybe too long by yourself. Who knows? But you do hear the footsteps of someone coming up towards the front porch. And they give a light rap on the door.
How polite. I adjust the tablecloth and the candle. The little things before heading to the door. And taking a quick peek to see who it might be.
You take a peek outside and the person that you see, let me see here. You see, I hadn't even thought this far ahead. My bad.
It's okay.
Let's see. We'll go with this. You see an older gentleman. He wears glasses. He's got a bit of a suit and tie. This is someone that you are slightly familiar with.
The Tremere.
The Tremere. One of only a few in San Antonio that you're aware of. And he comes to the door, and he's there waiting for you to answer it.
I open the door. I use Sense the Unseen to look to see if he is alone.
It doesn't look like he came accompanied. He came alone.
Good evening, Clovis.
Urien. How are you fare
He,
tonight?
he opens the door and starts to walk away. He just leaves the door open. He doesn't say anything at first.
Clovis nods and proceeds to enter the home.
And Urien takes one note. Okay, that is one weakness that he does not have. Won't you come in, Clovis? Please, close the door. I'd fetch you some refreshments, but alas, I just drank the last fresca.
Cute. So, you putting feelers out, from my understanding.
From my understanding, your name has been getting around for thin bloods.
Yes, thin bloods are an interesting thing. Speak of odd times.
Well, the end times, if you believe older blood.
If you believe the myths.
So what brings you into this little domicile, humble as it is, Clovis?
Well, you know that I do not have necessarily strong affiliations with Delgado. You know that I'm a little bit more of a freer agent.
As many of our clan are. We must be stewards, wardens, the second hand.
Hmm. Well, word has reached Baron Batista that she would like to see you at some point. Possibly tomorrow night.
I appreciate the message, however, it makes me curious as to why you're the one delivering it.
Business.
Hmm. Try a little bit more straightforward, Clovis. No secrets amongst Urien.
Well, my concern is for M.
For M. Now, why would you be concerned with M, dear Clovis?
She's my charge, as well as yours.
She is a Malkavian. Trying to keep her on a leash is futile at the best of times.
Still. So this... The fact that you're wanting to talk to Batista concerns me a little bit. You are residing in Delgado's territory.
Yes. So you must be wondering why.
The thought has crossed my mind.
Well, what conclusions have you reached, Clovis? He leans back in his chair, fingertips pressed against each other, observing the individual.
And Clovis has taken a seat across from you.
Have a seat.
Sorry, what was the question again?
What To what conclusions have you reached? Why would I be going? You theorize. Please.
Well,
Wow me, dazzle me with your intellect.
well, I suppose you're wanting to spread your wings a little bit. Maybe get a little more acquainted with some of the other barons. Or their assistants.
If I'm going to stay here, I best know the neighbors.
Smart move. So, in an effort to get to know your neighbors, you are reaching out to Baron Batista, but you're reaching out to her directly.
Yes.
Something about her, something about her specifically intrigues you.
She is an intriguing woman.
She's definitely an intriguing woman. She's pretty aloof for a Ventrue.
And yet she is a Ventrue.
Yet she is
Which
Ventrue.
implies someone had to have found some worth in her.
She's very good at what she does. She has maintained a very strong industry in predominantly tourism.
Yes.
Stands
Tourists.
tourists.
I have a good interest in tourists myself.
Mm.
But that does not, however, describe why you. Now, this would imply that you have good relations with Nosferatu.
I do.
Wise.
Very wise. As I'm sure you're developing ties as well, since you are still new to this city.
Well, there's two ways to get their attention. I figured the second one would make it a point too far. If I would have known you were coming, though, I wouldn't have bothered. But then I got your attention, so that's a start. You say that Baron Batista is willing to have the audience tomorrow.
She is.
Do you have a location?
You will be meeting her downtown at the Tower of Americas.
Tower of America.
She tends to enjoy the finer restaurants in this town.
Well,
For all
I
sorts of
appreciate
dining,
this.
really.
So, tell me,
Hmm.
Clovis, why are you the one delivering the message?
Well, might say something to the fact that I'm fairly well known in this city. And I know you personally, so that's why she reached out to me. She knew
Yes,
I could
you know.
find you. You don't carry the modern dalliances when it comes to cell phones. You're kind of
No.
old-fashioned for a young man.
I can be. In an age of modern convenience, sometimes a little bit of old-fashioned is just what you need.
Perhaps makes you a little difficult to reach.
It also means that when somebody needs to reach me, they come to me face to face.
Yes. If one can spare the time, of course.
If it is important, they will make time.
Agreed.
If it does not, my life becomes much simpler.
Hmm.
I offer everyone the same deal. If you wish to end up feeding in my domain. I'm not a tyrant who says no. It is simply, what do you offer?
I appreciate your
Yeah.
hospitality, Mr. Doyle, but that's not necessary tonight.
Oh, of course not. You are an upstanding kindred.
Hmm.
Or a snake in the grass, I guess. It depends on who you ask.
I have my own resources, but I appreciate the offer.
Still, a kindness has been served.
Hmm.
What else can I do for you, Mr. Clovis?
Well, as I said before, my concern is for M.
Yes.
She
Well,
was in your care.
he kind of raises a brow. He
Where?
doesn't say anything, but it's very clear something that Clovis said, just kind of like, the fuck you say?
I haven't seen her in a moment. How is she?
She, at this current moment, is being waited on hand and foot.
Hmm.
Asked that same question 2 nights ago, and you would have gotten quite a different answer.
What answer would I have gotten?
Which piece would you like to be talking to?
I'm sorry?
You heard me. I don't have the age in me, as someone so young, to make it sound cute. So I'll simply say this. M provided this domain a service.
Hmm.
Has scaled her position. And in doing so, she has made it very clear where her allegiance stands. I appreciate that. And in doing so, she has put herself in a better position. Now, she takes time to relax and enjoy the spoils.
Hmm.
I suspect you will not be seeing her anytime soon. Or maybe I ate her. Who knows?
How dastardly.
I know.
One shouldn't even think a thing.
Well, I figure with all the rumors spreading, I might as well have some fun with it. I can't stop people from talking, but I can laugh at their expense.
Hmm. You're an interesting man.
He kind of ends up taking a moment to take out a piece of chalk and starts to scroll a different version of a pentagram on the black cloth at the kitchen table and starts to put signs on it.
Hmm.
I have always held the belief that one is at their best when they understand themselves.
This is true.
Satan was known as the accuser. And his accusation to Job was that of falsehood,
Hmm.
to be tested. We all fall into our own tests, Mr. Clovis. For instance, at this point you have sent a message.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, who's coming to pick you up? It was quite the trek, I imagine, walking here.
I have a vehicle.
But you did not drive it up the driveway.
Of course not. Not to draw attention. You park down the block. I don't see a vehicle here.
Fantastic. Well, is there anything else I can do for you?
No. If you do
I
hear
will.
from M, please let me know.
He unfolds a napkin. Or no, he doesn't unfold a napkin. He rolls the piece of chalk down the table. Taps on the tablecloth.
And he goes to write an address to where he can be reached. And you know the address. It's a fairly common place. He typically can be found near the UT Health Science Center, specifically in the oncology ward.
I do have to ask, Clovis.
Mm.
With the miracles of modern science, do you start to wonder if our own gifts become more and more trivial at the time?
In regards to what specifically? The gifts of kindred?
One of them.
The gifts of sorcery?
Urien taps into a memory. Thinks about what Jacques would end up saying.
Jacques, yeah.
Jacques, sorry. Jacques would tell him on how making one's will made manifest is the ultimate incarnation of magic. And when he looks to Clovis, we exist in a moment where with a push of a button, a whole city can disappear. And we consider ourselves at the height. Perhaps it is God punishing us for arrogance.
If you believe the myths, that's the curse in its entirety.
I believe what I can see, what is in front of me.
As do I.
And I do know this. It wasn't needing a nuclear weapon to reduce an entire city to splinters in a few short nights. I pray that such things never fall San Antonio.
Such
People
things
might
would be in tragedy indeed. The city is full of history. Have you ever been to the Alamo, Mr. Doyle?
Kind of raises a brow. Alas, there's a few things I have not. I have been busying myself in understanding this particular region. And the city is vast, growing outward every year. I suspect.
Really?
I suspect that give it a century, and the entire continent will be referred to as San Antonio. By this rate.
Continental city. That would be a sight.
It is coming. It is coming. Perhaps in our lifetime. Perhaps. I intend to be ahead of the curve on that one, but I'll let you in on the ground floor.
That sounds fair. But yes, you really should make your way out to the Alamo. There are definitely some things that might pique your interest there at some point.
I'm going to roll a insight on that. Wits, I'm assuming?
Yep, wins insight.
Okay.
He doesn't seem to be misleading you.
There's no second. He just genuinely thinks I should.
Thinks it would be interesting, as many Tremere would, because of the vast, significant Texan history and the potential questions you might be able to ask there of the staff and of the non-staff.
I
That,
would have to end up making it a point to do so.
if you enjoy history, of course.
I have an appreciation for it. Still, I appreciate your recommendation. So perhaps, trivial matter. What was their name? Do you happen to know of a... Do you happen to know if the Mr. Duval? I would assume so.
Yes, I've met him on a couple of occasions.
More's the pity. As I understand it, his Childer wasn't exactly his first pick.
What makes you say that?
Because he had no other interest other than to make Wolf's life a living hell. See, it was the wife that he was interested. Perhaps he wanted to not be alone. Our affliction does end up making it quite a long journey to step on only two legs.
Sometimes a lonely one.
Not that I fault him for it, but...
Seems a pity.
It is, and a waste of blood. So I would be careful around that one who would throw it around so recklessly. He is very good and very much of a good mouthpiece, but it might be something you want to weigh into your equations.
I appreciate that.
Well,
You certainly have good insight.
I try. For yourself, well, I am glad to know that Baron Delgado has no ill will towards Tremere. After all, that's not common, I imagine, especially amongst larger Anarch cities.
Yes. Well, with the reputation our clan seems to get, we must all band together.
Oh, the wonders. Still, I may have to end up expanding my reading material. Do you have a collection?
Not a public one at the moment.
Well,
Are you interested in a specific topic? I might be able to find something for you.
no. More important that I know that you have than for me to know its contents. Though, if I ever earn the respect to do so, I would love to end up seeing it. If only, well, I must admit, I am asked frequently if I would go back to the pyramid. And I do miss the libraries. I do miss the feeling of knowing and seeing beyond the veil. But Such things would shackle us, and we have chosen.
Chosen to be free of those shackles. Although, libraries are wonderful things, they occupy those dull hours. Surprised you haven't started amassing a collection yourself.
I would, if I knew of if I had a secure place to place them.
Mm. Such is
It
the way
would
of
be.
things.
It would be. How do I put this? Very, very bad for me to end up amassing a collection of arcane lore and leave it for the public viewing.
Mm. Certainly cannot have that.
So, let us not place the donkey before the cart.
Of course.
Alright. You'd best be off, Mr. Clovis. I do not wish for you to be late for appointments. I
No.
appreciate your coming.
I appreciate having caught up with you, Mr. Doyle. It's always interesting to have a chat. I appreciate your hospitality.
You're welcome. He sits up, offers to shake Clovis's hand,
And Clovis shakes your hand.
and exits out. Or lets Clovis out. Observes him. Watching him as he leaves.
He walks confidently, going exactly around the corner and presumably back to his vehicle. What's going through your mind right now?
Every part of me wants to tear him to pieces.
Why don't we? We could. Imagine the vast amount of knowledge he owns.
Yes. Imagine more what he can end up doing. His disappearance right now is, well, he is ingrained too deep.
You're always so cautious.
I am fearful that we will not have that luxury soon. What was it he said? Heading to the Alamo. The Alamo, a famous land stand. Perhaps it would be fitting if such an encounter would be there. He grabs hold of his keys. Can't believe he's going. I'm pretty sure it's closed down by now.
Oh yeah, the public face is definitely closed. You know that for sure.
Yeah.
It's fairly late in the night as well. It's getting towards midnight. It would definitely raise suspicions if you were to go this late.
Yes. Something I can't afford right now. I will end up making a quick call by heading back down to that wonderful little corner store.
Okay.
Locking up, walking, keeping my keys with me. And I wish to end up calling the doc, just to see how they're doing. I hear that they've overworked themselves again.
And so you give the office a call. You know that this late is when she tends to do some of her more personal projects rather than be open for business. But she does answer. Hello?
Hey, Doc. It's good to hear you. I was concerned given on the condition you were in when we left for tea.
Ah, yes. I'm feeling better. I've been minding myself.
Well, I imagine that you'll be spending more time to relax but that's not you.
It's not
Tell
me.
me, are you at least managing to... I think you need to end up just in a few more lumps of sugar with your tea.
You
A
know,
little bit of...
I, I do
Go
love
ahead.
sugar in my tea and my coffee.
Yes, well, you need to relax more, Doc. I just wanted to call and see how you were, well, faring. You concerned me greatly last night.
I'm sorry about that. I'm feeling better. I have taken care of myself. Did wake up with a bit of a headache, but you'll know that I am drinking plenty of fluids and taking care of myself, I promise. Your concern is heartwarming.
Of course. I just simply wanted to make sure. Have a good evening, Doc. I will not delay you any further.
Wait, Urien, you
Yes.
don't call out of the blue. What's going on?
I guess you could say... how do I even begin to approach this? I have lost two dear friends very recently.
I'm sorry to hear that. No wonder you were in a mood.
More specifically, I find myself without protege, without young minds to mold. I'm almost without purpose.
Everyone has
Sometimes
purpose. Every day has purpose.
that's what they say. But, like I said, I am not here to whine and moan like some, how do I put this, wet nurse.
But if you were to whine and moan, you could with me.
I could, but then I would no longer have your respect. Good night, Doc, and stay, stay you.
You take care of yourself. Don't you don't you ignore whatever it is that's going on. As a professional, I must advise you take good care of yourself, physically and emotionally. All right?
Of course, doctor's orders.
Doctor's orders.
Be well, Doc.
You too.
Hangs up the phone. Starts to wander back. He might as well spend more of his time researching. Just burn the night away and take it a little bit easy.
Mm.
He's prepared himself. He's getting ready for tomorrow. And tomorrow can't come soon enough. It's waiting for time to pass. It's a luxury I don't often get.
some who are younger, would even argue that the lulls don't seem to pass quickly enough.
They have no idea. I have watched great individuals fall prey to their ennui, unable to focus, in need of distraction. I have found patience to be a virtue I can use, wield like a weapon. And at this point, with my dearest M gone, and my protege Wolf all but destroyed, I need to come up with something. Alfonso's with him. I am left without people again. And it is maddening.
Just you and me.
You want to have this conversation, Urien says as he locks up the door. And he turns out the lights, sitting in the dark.
No conversation, really. Just reminding you I'm still here.
Yes, you're always there. You'll always be there. You're the ever-constant companion. But in the end, only one of us ended up walking out. I do appreciate the legs, by the way.
Technically, both of us walked away, you silly, silly, silly man.
Silly. Yes, you would believe that. You are always young, impulsive, riding on the coattails of others, with no plan, just whatever anybody in the basking of you, so long as you can call yourself the rebel. Part of the rabble, more likely. Tell me, how is it that you ever became part of Tremere? What part of you is Tremere? The sniveling, the groveling, the parts without any pride. Or maybe it was just because all of your friends ended up getting involved in your, like, hey, I'll show up. Fuck you. You who ended up spending all that time, and you who are responsible for the deaths of those closest to me. I have nothing but disdain for you, so you can stay silent and caged for all of eternity. And when I wish for entertainment, then I'll hear you scream and curse at me. Oh, why don't you do this? Oh, why don't you do that? Because you're very moaning and whining about, oh, can't we feed? Can't we do this? This sustains me. Because every time you do, you are my indulgence. A well that will never run dry.
You can indulge all you want. Your spite for me fuels me. Eventually I'll take over again, and eventually I'll have my way, and eventually you'll lose control.
When I do, I'll be taking you with me.
I'd like to see you try.
Would you now?
Though, I will admit, you're walking around with my face. How does that feel?
I can show you how it feels. He starts walking down, and He grabs a rag. He's downstairs and he grabs a rag. He wants to make it very clear to this thing inside. And he grabs hold of a small amount of lighter fluid. He makes sure he can smell it so so the beast knows what's coming.
You don't want to do that.
I think I do.
Do you?
I think I want to hear you scream and beg.
Do you really want to do that, though? That means that you would be hurting yourself. You wouldn't be hurting me. I don't exist, remember?
You exist. Every time I look in the mirror.
I'm a figment of your imagination.
You are a beast, given new voice, but the same companion nevertheless. So at this point, he takes the rag, and he places it in the center of the circle. The pentagram he drew in front of Alfonso. When he was still chained down here in the basement, the rag won't light enough to end up carrying the hole. It'll be a quick flash fire, but it is a practice. It is a ritual. As I end up speaking to Beelzebub to focus on the icon of Satan. It's not a matter of belief in these things, it is what they are. They are symbols. Adam, Eve, Cain, Abel, take your pick, they are all symbols. The devil is no different. This is what they represent. And that's when he strikes up a match. They can already feel, looking at the fire, that he is uncomfortable. And so, if he's uncomfortable, so is the beast.
And there's a gut feeling deep in your stomach that tells you to get away. Get away. It's quiet right now.
Oh, come on, you can scream louder than that. He drops the match into the lighter fluid soaked rag.
Now you're just a pissing contest.
Really? He starts to try and force his hand a little closer to the fire.
I would like you to make a willpower roll. Regardless of whatever that thing is in your mind that is yelling at you, you have the capability of putting your hand very close to that fire, knowing that your skin would go up like kindling if you were to actually touch it.
Urien just savors, feeling his beast thrash around.
It's like your stomach is jumping around inside of you, tearing knots in your intestines, and your whole body is trying to fight against your power of mind. But you stand firm.
It's at that point. He just watches the light fluid burns out. He might not even be aware that his eyes are glowing red to just observe the embers. Sitting in the dark in the basement. The smell of smoke and burning. Making the beast uncomfortable. That is... You are for my amusement, not the other way around. Remember that. My will is much stronger than yours.
Just you wait. Just you wait.
You may win once or twice, but I will win 100 times before I let that happen.
You're already going mad. You're talking to yourself.
Yes, perhaps. Perhaps I have gone mad. That is a likely conclusion. He goes back to his room. While he may listen for the door, he's going to spend the rest of the night sleeping. Well, resting, focusing, reading. Tomorrow, he meets with Baron Batista.
And that is where we are going to take our break. We'll be back in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
To see where it is that Urien's leads. Lead him. We'll be back in 10, everybody. Welcome back, everyone, to San Antonio by Night. In episode 10, I can speak today. With the night going fairly slowly for Urien, having passed along a message through Fisk, the Nosferatu, to Baron Batista, and receiving a visit from another Tremere, Clovis, Urien spends the rest of the night on his own, reading, trying to maybe come to terms with some of the thoughts that he's been having so far, and patiently awaiting his meeting with Baron Batista. The following night, that sinking feeling in your stomach churns a little bit, not happy with how you were presenting yourself the previous night, trying to best it. Just kind of snarls in the back of your mind, letting you know, I'm still here. And so you awake, prepare yourself, the usual routine, and after inspecting your van, as you do every night, finding nothing yet again, you make your way downtown to the Tower of Americas, one of the city's tallest landmarks, next to the rather recent, actually, within the last 20 years, a hotel that spans nearly as tall. And so you make your way towards this location. You do find that it is open because there is a restaurant up top, and the view is said to be incredible from up top. And so you make your way past the entrance into that long elevator, that long, fast elevator. People are around, and you do you intend to make yourself look a little more flushed.
I did not have a choice. I did not like it. Thankfully, apparently the blood I received from Fisk was not too thin.
That's fairly satisfying so far. The vitae courses through your veins and begins to give your skin that lifelike color. And for a moment, you think that you feel that your heart's beating again, but you can't be certain. But it courses through you, and when you make it to the top of the uh, of the elevator, there is a hostess who greets you at the front and asks you if you're seating for one.
I am expecting another.
Okay. Then I will set a table for two. Follow me.
A private table, something out of the way, if that's alright. Preferably with a view of the city. This is an occasion.
Of course.
Thank you very much. I expect the lady to be approaching soon. And Urien,
Fantastic.
of course, came with a small gift. Nothing great and handy else, but he did bring one.
Perfect. All right. And so the hostess leads you to the a kind of corner table towards the edge where you see that the the floor of the restaurant does gently spin to give you a panoramic view of the city as you pass it by through the windows. And so she guides you to the seat, and you are seated. She provides you with a menu and starts to pour you a glass of water. And
I keep it on the relative cheap at this point, as I am not exactly made of money. But barely enough to maintain gas. But I am not destitute. And this is something worth going through. I watch out the window to observe the city from this height. And I have to admit, I'm quite stricken by the view. I miss seeing the city like this. I miss being able to look and really be able to gauge just by looking at it, to see what I can do. It gives a sense of perspective. While I observe, however, I'm keeping an eye on the reflections, trying to see, waiting for the Baron to arrive.
And so the hostess disappears from view and goes off to attend to other things. You don't wait long. You notice that a woman is approaching your table with purpose. She is olive skin, dark hair, presents herself with a very proud demeanor, carries herself very well. She's dressed in an evening gown with that's black but short to not give too elegant a look, but still maintain a sense of beauty. And she approaches the
Urien
table.
Urien will turn, stand, give her a smile, a warm one. He is actually quite happy to see her. Will take her coat as a proper gentleman should, and offer her to seat before he does.
When you take her coat, she does give you a handshake and sits when you offer her the chair. And at this point, a waiter has come by to also bring her a water, and she sits across from you, just kind of observing you for a moment. And once the waiter has left, and she finds that it's sufficiently quiet in your corner, she introduces herself. I'm Samantha Batista.
It is a great honor to end up seeing you, Samantha Batista. Miss Batista. Urien Doyle. I have not ended up having the pleasure of meeting you face to face, but I am familiar with your family line.
As I am only slightly familiar with you in general, Mr. Doyle.
The fact that you are aware of me at all does me great honor.
I must keep in the know, you do. This city may be vast, but it's always had a familial sense to it. I've always liked that kind of close-knit community that this city fosters.
As it should be. He takes a moment to look at the window. You will have to forgive, but given this is the first encounter, and I am only just now getting to know you, I am under the impression that you are one to not waste time.
Clearly not.
Mine is here to speak of a particular member of your family who will be placing a visit very soon.
Do you know which family member?
Calhoune.
Calhoune. Ah, yes. Family from Jackson, I believe. Distant family.
Yes. Nevertheless, family. And he looks around. And he uses Sense the Unseen just to observe. Maybe she has some Malkavian or Nosferatu bodyguards around, or something like that in shorthand. Wouldn't surprise him.
You do see a couple of people have set themselves up in a kind of bodyguard fashion. They don't necessarily make themselves unseen. You see a couple of people who look fairly fit, and but they don't really make themselves known entirely. They simply watch from a distance, occasionally look out the window to observe the view, but then their eyes fall back on the table. But there's never not someone looking at the table.
All cards on the table then.
Yes.
I have not had the privilege of being able to discuss with one of your family members
Hmm.
on this side of the fence. Not a lot of them out in Jackson. I think you can understand why.
Hmm. Yes. The the events that took place there were rather
Brutal.
loud. Yes.
Yes.
A lot
I
of
would
gang
like.
violence, and it's so sad.
Yes. A great tragedy. Still, I am to wonder if such a distant cousin does happen to arrive. I am under the belief that he will try and find shelter in families' homes.
Hmm.
This would be something that could get complicated for a woman of your station.
Could get quite complicated, yes. But at the same time, Mr. Doyle, family is family. And while it may be distant, and I may not necessarily share the same outlook as others of my family, hospitality is the highest importance.
No doubt. But he will end up having an interest in seeing me.
Oh.
I would think such a venture might be profitable
Hmm.
for a woman of your station. If you were to be brought in my general direction with enough forewarning to set the table.
Hmm.
You see, the thing you need to understand about Kyle
Kyle.
is, yes, for as much as a youngster as
Hmm.
he is deathly loyal.
Hmm.
And should he request succor from your own chest, I would suspect that could end up asking a certain question of loyalties. And to be harboring him, I imagine, would put particular individuals in a very uncomfortable state,
As I'm sure it would. Believe
which
me,
would
Mr. Doyle.
escalate your problem.
Believe me, Mr. Doyle, I am well aware of the stakes. Should someone such as Kyle, find themselves knocking at my door.
Mhm. And yet you're in a position where you cannot say no. Hospitality, after all.
Of course.
So, as a friend,
Hmm.
I have a small place that he can become another's burden. I would take this burden off your hands, and in return, I would think that this would be a start of a mutually beneficial relationship. We do not need a city ready to go at each other's throats, especially after what I have seen.
No, we certainly don't want that. But, Mr. Doyle, do understand that you offering to take on this burden, this hospitality, what would, pardon my lack of knowledge about you yourself, but what do you have to offer me? Aside from this, what do I stand to gain? You would take this
That
matter
was
off of my hands to keep me from having to bear the burden, which is fine. But what would you also like in return? I understand that this doesn't come as a low price.
No. But you are set in an unfortunate circumstance. And the circumstance will get quite costly. It will be a blow to reputation and position alike. One that I don't think you can afford, especially with, how do I put this? For the sake of anonymity for the room, the Jingo might take heavy offense. And my own landlord, I think he would be a little bit upset knowing that you allowed one such as he to take up safe harbor. Especially given that he is not here to negotiate. Kyle is very much here on a personal errand, I believe.
A personal errand.
And he's about to make a personal errand. A very complicated errand for you. And I have a certain respect for your family.
Well, if it is a personal matter that he is coming to the city for,
and wanted to drag you into,
I have not yet had any word. He's not tried to contact me yet.
I know this is a terrible roll, but I'm gonna do it anyway. What's insight?
It's not a terrible roll.
Well, not for me, but...
Let me see if I actually have her character sheet done. I do not. As a character sheet, I did not finish. Sure, we'll go with that.
I believe every word that comes out of that woman's mouth.
She's very good.
Mm-hmm. I imagine so. Well, I thought it was only polite to end up getting this face to face. And I would say that were he to find himself in my hands to make this a isolated incident, I think that a little bit of cooperation would end up being quite good. If not, well...
Do you expect him to be coming alone?
No.
Do you have any idea who he would bring with him?
He thinks about it for a moment. I would assume my bonus would add to this. My specialty?
Yes, if you're doing an intelligence politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Five successes.
Knowing this person, as you do, he likely will have backup. And backup that you may be somewhat familiar with. Recent and also recent acquisitions. You would know he's not foolish enough to come alone.
Would I be correct in assuming, though, that it's going to be a small group? He can't afford to make a lot of noise. Just get him exterminated. Can't be
He
seen as an invasion force. It has to be an insurgency.
exactly.
Okay. Probably not more than 4 or 5.
4 or 5 at the most.
4 or 5 at the most.
But he does carry specialists.
Likely, if he's pulling out of the playbook, I think he is, then 4 or 5 at the most. I imagine he has diversified his portfolio. Specialists specifically. Right tool, right job.
We all must be the right tool for the right job.
And I am the right tool to end up fixing this problem you will be facing. After all, I believe the rule of hospitality in this particular point, and he whispers a word that he shouldn't know. Dignitas would demand only for the blue bloods, not for his friends.
She just stares at you for a moment.
He smiles softly to her. Like I said, I am a friend of the family.
Close friend, it seems.
Yes. And I have many secrets I could share. And a lot of insight into what may be coming on. But if I were to know that I am not just handling this, I am now in a position that I have to end up being concerned about, well, your opinion. When this goes down, and that proves to be a burden I am unable to fulfill, I can imagine that it only leads to others wishing to take from you. I have no interest in rippling the waters, but he will insist upon it. I would think one with vision, and one who is insightful, knows when an opportunity is taken. The risk to you is minimal. You make sure that they end up coming to me directly. I will handle the rest. If you are found to be harboring such individuals, or so much as a whisper starts to make out, then, well, it gets messy. And when it does get messy, certain things are found out. And I would much rather keep this on the, well, how do the children call it? Download?
Down low. But yes.
Oh, thank you.
In regards to that insight you may have, perhaps we should go somewhere and speak privately. With like-minded individuals. This way you can speak more freely.
He kind of looks around. Given a woman of your status, how dare I refuse?
Perfect. And so she gets up from the table. You notice that the waiter has never come back.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
the the woman that you know as Batista begins to walk towards the kitchen, actually. Do you follow?
Certainly, but I end up keeping an eye on the guards and the others. I get the impression I'm about to end up getting ambushed or beaten, which wouldn't surprise me, but we are playing by Anarch rules. I am keeping an eye on the circumstances and the situation. If things get violent, I keep an eye on the deep fryer, the oven, the flat grill, salt shakers, knives. Hell, you can get creative with a spatula if you wanted.
Make me a wits plus awareness.
Because I am fantastic at these. Apparently, actually.
Mm,
Wow,
very nice.
that is the second best roll I could ever hope for.
So walking through the kitchen behind Batista, you do notice that there's one person in the kitchen staff who does watch you as you follow her. But they don't acknowledge you in any other way. They simply watch, and beyond the kitchen door where you entered, there is back a back room that she beckons you in toward, and
I take note of the man in the kitchen.
he's fairly thin actually. He's not very well built. He looks like an older gentleman, maybe balding. You can't really tell.
Sight,
There's a chef's hat on top.
mm. Sense the unseen.
There's no unseen people in this room.
Okay. Hmm. Is the face familiar?
No, not particularly. It does remind you of somebody you do know, but it's not the person you know.
Who does it remind me of?
It's those glasses, maybe. Looks a little like Trent. But not exactly.
A little bit like Trent, huh? He kind of sighs a bit. It's almost a sadness for a moment as he continues to follow. And when he ends up entering, he continues with the package tucked underneath.
And this back door through the kitchen does lead down a small hallway, and there is an isolated and small office or set of offices, but one in particular she unlocks and leads you into, and she turns on the lights, and they're bright fluorescent lights, as you would assume would happen in any other business. And there is a small desk. You get the sense that this is a manager's office, possibly.
Do I see any dents in the table that might have been made, for instance, with a hammer?
Mm, I'll let your awareness still roll. There's doesn't seem to hammer dents to imply what exactly? Like, why would there
Oh,
be hammer dents?
Well, this is where, now that it's kitchen, a lot of banging and all this, it's a perfect place to bring somebody in the back and break hands, jaws, rip out teeth, all that kind of stuff. And usually it requires a nice heavy desk.
Mm. Nothing so far as that, so far as you can tell. Kind of looks like it's neat, it's organized. Surprisingly, a very little paperwork that's strewn out. You maybe get the sense that this is not her office specifically, just an office.
Hmm, perfect. And I go out of my way to end up pulling out the seat for her.
And she motions to the desk on the chair on the other side of the desk so that you may sit as well.
I seat myself,
You'll be glad
smile to her.
you'll be glad to know that this particular office has been treated so that no on listeners will be present.
I will trust you with that, Baron Batista.
So, you said you have further insight into Kyle Calhoune.
I should. I was there when his grandson was removed from Jackson.
I've heard the vague story, the common story, but I sadly don't know as many details as I should. You were there firsthand.
I was in the room when he met his end.
Oh my, that's awfully close.
You have to understand something. When, he seems a little bit amused. When we ended up coming in, it was a rolling mass.
Hmm.
At first, it was the Anarchs were few and far in number. It was quite the Camarilla city.
Hmm.
All it took was the swaying of numbers, and suddenly the cowards found their bite. They ended up rising up, and, well, without getting into too many details, it ended with Calhoun, well, being removed in every way. It also ended up ending with his seneschal being nothing more than a torso being dragged through the streets via a truck. The sheriff was torn to pieces. The primogen burned at the stake. It was almost like a Salem witch trial.
And yet, the grandchild got away.
Perhaps. I
Wasn't
was not
present,
as in.
maybe?
I don't believe he was. But Ventrue do have a sense of lineage,
Hmm.
as I have no doubt yours
Yes.
has been announced. And given the fact, I believe the last time we ended up rolling, I got 6 successes on Baron Batista.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to literally recite her entire lineage, 6 deep.
And you would see her happy to know that someone is as well read about her lineage as one would expect for an educated person. She she finds it very she finds it a little strange that you would know so much, not being of Clan Ventrue to her knowledge.
You will have to pardon the gift, as I have only just started to establish. I would have made it in bronze, but he slides in. This is a two, or this is, yeah, I would say a box, probably not more than 4 inches around,
Hmm.
but about 4 feet in length.
Hmm.
And he presses it to her. You may be Anarch, but it does not mean you need to forget where you came from.
Certainly not.
I have, I have a memory for details. Please do open it.
And she goes to unwrap the package and delicately take whatever is inside out.
So it is a rolled up bit of parchment. It's done. It's black, but if she opens it up, and she'd probably be very careful, it is an entire drawing of chalk. But the drawing itself is kind of an old medieval house sigil,
Hmm.
one that was used in the Convention of Thorns.
Hmm.
What back at the formation of the Camarilla, actually far before then. But it would have represented Clan Ventrue.
This is impressive.
You will have to forgive that the materials are found wanting. But I do not come to a individual's home without offering at least the smallest of gifts and a humble amount of respect.
The gesture is appreciated, Mr. Doyle. The the materials notwithstanding, this is a delightful gift. Thank you.
Now, about Calhoune.
Mm.
You left the Anarchs, or you left for the Anarchs. Do I dare ask, if I might be so intrusive, as to why? Ventrue would not have been my first thought. It makes sense that you are a Baron and to be respected. But I'm trying to understand how a Ventrue, one who is birth of blood that falls all the way to Hardstadt, founder of the Camarilla, has actually built a nest egg amongst Anarchs. That must have been quite a shock, I imagine, to find yourself walking here. I imagine not your first choice, or perhaps it was, and, well, this is a youth trying to gain the wisdom of one with far more experience, shall we say.
Well, it is true that I am older. And something about this city just felt familial. This, as I said before, the sense of family that comes from this city, from neighboring cities, from just the general culture. It speaks to me. My own lineage before my embrace being Hispanic, and that's incredibly important. So it is with great difficulty that I left my family when coming to this city.
I imagine. But you left nevertheless.
I did.
I imagine your signer would be quite upset with you.
If they were still among the unliving, yes.
I have a secret that Calhoune would be very interested in. And in his rush to destroy me for my own involvement, as I have no doubt he has already gone from one kindred to the next, trying to weasel in and trying to, well, destroy anything that involved destroying his lineage. I almost admire him for that. But that's nevertheless a problem for you and I. I am offering to take this problem off your hands, but I have not gotten a true response from you. You've been dancing around it, and that also makes me wonder, given the individual outside who is giving me the eyeball. I assume everyone in the staff is one of yours, but the kitchen?
One must be careful at all times. I don't present myself to anyone, just anyone, Mr. Doyle.
No, you do not. But you wanted to know about me.
Yes.
And what have you discovered?
That you are a man who knows a lot.
I am.
And of Dignitas, no less.
Yes.
That little tidbit
If I
does not pass me. So, if you know the word, you must understand what it means.
It means you are honor bound.
In all things.
And yet you betrayed your honor in that to leave for family. Here. And it was at that exact moment Calhoune could no longer be abided. For you to go back on it now means that all the sacrifices you have made to create this barony were for naught. Is it not so?
I would hope it not so.
And yet, for you to follow through with Dignitas would end up saying that you are without honor, without your glorious burden. But it is on a leader to command, to delegate tasks as they are needed, and to look after the city for which you work so hard. So, upon your, if I were to have you swear on your Dignitas, the worst thing that could happen is that you would lie because you've already cast that part aside. If you are told true, you would then be harbored in Camarilla, inside this city, as a baron, no less.
You understand my conundrum far better than anyone else would. Which means you either know that conundrum yourself, or you're talking out of your ass. And I dare not think the latter. You're too intelligent for that.
Flattery will get you everywhere, Baron Batista. My concern is with Calhoune. Your domain is your own. I dare not tell you how to run it, but when you say the words Dignitas, what does it mean to you, truthfully? I wish to explore it as an idea. And I might also point out, you're the only one who knows I am aware of the word itself. I have kept that bit of knowledge, which should tell you something about my ability to keep secrets. I waver on things that people say should be secret, because that's not the really dangerous knowledge. So long as they are looking at this, oh, look at what blasphemes he must do, he is in league with Satan. So long as they whisper those, they don't know what I actually know, and are more concerned with parlor tricks and taboos rather than the real threat. I understand your conundrum very well, but what I do not know is the thing I came here for. When Calhoune arrives, what will you do?
Well, you have offered to take him under your own wing. Why would he listen to you? Why would he go to you? Aside from wanting to bring you to your final death.
If my final death is what he wants, he's going to have to come to me anyway.
But the carrot on the stick.
Partially. I have my own reasons for looking out for Kyle Calhoune. But I have one thing that he does not. Kyle has rumor. He hears things. But he doesn't know what actually happened to his great-great-grandsire. And for him to know that, for his lineage to be written, well, if he cares for his lineage, that is information only I can give him.
Being a first-hand witness.
Yes.
Then it only seems prudent to direct him toward you.
You, as an honored Baron, will not go into Delgado's territory to interfere.
I don't plan to.
When Calhoune comes to you, as you will, show him the gift I have given you. Tell him of this conversation if you wish. He might become enraged when he comes to realize what it is I know. But I need to know, does your Dignitas hold you to giving him room and board? Or does your Dignitas lean towards the city, of which you are a Baron among? To let me know he is coming, and prepare accordingly.
My Dignitas is with this city. You have no doubt about that.
When this is over, I will have your measure. And if that is true, we will both demonstrate it, Dignitas, in our own way. It is a Ventrue concept.
It is. So I find it odd and intriguing that you're so knowledgeable about Ventrue culture.
Then for you to find out, I must be alive.
Another carrot on the stick.
Perhaps. If I've whet your appetite enough, you may act. If, on the other hand, I were to fall to such an individual, well, the obvious bit is now Baron Delgato is down one domain holder. It opens up the border for you to be able to move in, so it is, in fact, in your interest there. Until yesterday.
Until yesterday.
Yes. You see, I ended up having a conversation with one Fisk. Do you know Fisk?
I may not.
I have been forthcoming with you. I would think the least be a simple yes or no. But I would not push further. Instead, I would have you understand this. When that meeting happened, he was dealt a particular secret. Now, would he to speak this secret and spread it around, and then I would die, and then you take over the territory. It would then end up meaning that the Nosferatu have now taken your side. Now, you and I both know this not to be true, but the idea will be there. Communications will break down because Delgado and Jameson can no longer trust the Nosferatu to carry information between the Baronese. So, because you have suddenly gained a perceived ally, now they have no choice but to ally. So a small gain turns into a relatively large net loss. A short-term gain can destroy a barony.
That it can.
And you have already expressed an aversion to such an outcome. Now tell me, have I missed any detail in all of this?
No.
I endeavor to trust in the wisdom of Ventrue.
I'm surprised that Delgado's been able to hang on to you this long.
I am loyal to San Antonio.
As am I.
glad we understand each other, Baron Batista. He gestures like if he may stand.
She allows him.
He stands, and he takes time to put the chair there. And when he takes a few steps back, he stops. It is lonely in the Tower of Glass, seeing the city from horizon to horizon, and really knowing its weight.
We all have our burdens to bear.
And you bear yours well and with grace, Baron Batista. Honor be to you in your lineage, and let your barony be fair and wise. He gives her a very solemn bow.
She kind of nods toward him.
And so at that point, he takes a few more steps back before turning, careful not to turn his back to her, as he opens the door. He closes it. And he observes, is that same cook still here?
If you were to follow the hall back into the kitchen, yes, he is still there. He is still cooking.
He leans over, kind of when he gets his attention. I have to admit, at the very least, you have the finest garlic bread in all of San Antonio. Beautiful.
Thanks.
You serve well. Take pride in it. Mr.
Calgary.
Calgary. Be well, Mr. Calgary.
You as well, Mr.
Doyle.
Mr. Doyle.
He takes a step and he walks out, back out into the lounge. He takes the long route. He walks with a very solemn pace. I kind of imagine, as he does, in this low-light dining environment, he sees the lights of the city, the traffic, the enormity of San Antonio, as he looks out the windows as he passes by dining couples and families and somebody trying to impress their first date and business meetings happening. There's that group of Japanese businessmen shooting back sake, and he just kind of walks past them all. He looks past them all into a city that just goes on and on.
Seems endless.
It's beautiful from up here. You'd never know what was coming.
As is the view from any tower, really. And you make your way back to the elevator and back down into the main lobby. What do you plan to do from here?
I check for individuals that are following. I check my vehicle. I begin to drive. All the right words were said, but whether you can trust or not. Went smooth. But was he convincing enough? He does not know. He doesn't. And it bothers him greatly.
She's very aloof.
Hopefully he whetted or he brought a big enough carrot. Whet her appetite. Now he's got two barons looking at him, which is good. It makes him harder to kill. It's harder to kill when the entire city is watching you.
The safety of a crowd. The safety of all eyes watching. From their towers and their mansions and their military bases.
He starts to go towards... he starts to end up going looking for a payphone once he gets into his own domain. He knows a few of them. Running out of quarters. It's time to call Levi. Or Levy, sorry. Levy needs to be informed. That pet project they've been working on. The young who have come to follow Satan. Looks like we're going to need to speed track that.
Time to set up the party, as it were.
Well, the Ministry of Set has its beliefs. And I can have my own Ministry of Satan. I wonder if the Devil of Fable will appreciate the irony of everything I have done till now. I'm sorry, Liliana.
What's going through Urien's head to say I'm sorry to you, Liliana? The one you trusted so much back in Jackson.
I need to end up finding my own strength. I need more. I need the position. But I need to end up gaining more. More resources, more followers. I need blood consistent. I need Gain. And I need eyes. But I need to keep it small enough that it does not attract the law. The irony of hiding a secret society in a secret society. What do the children call that? Four-dimensional chess?
The tangled webs.
It was so much easier back in the day. Now I'm alone, surrounded by meat I cannot eat, wine I cannot drink, blood I cannot taste, A land that is mine and yet not. And the one thing I always leaned on. Slipping away. My greatest of allies. Going away in an instant. Time. Yet time might return to my side. Calhoune can bring his group in. I will find them. I will find them and one by one dismantle them. Taking an entire city will end up taking several lifetimes. But taking apart the coterie, I do not think they know who they are dealing with. But my greatest plan, that'll be the hardest stroke. I need Kyle to have my plan come to completion.
And what those plans are, and what we will discover as we continue this story, we'll have to wait until next time as we bring this session to a close.
Yay!
Yay! GG.
GG. So, what do you think of my ability to machinate?
Enviable. Enviable. I need it in my life. I also realized I never changed the scene for you.
It's okay.
I changed the scene for me, but I didn't change it for you. I was playing that whole scene by myself. It's okay.
It's alright.
I'm a professional Roll20 player.
Don't think
guys.
you changed. I don't think you changed it for the stream either.
Oh no, yeah, because what you see as a player is what the broadcast sees. So
Can you show me the tower? Can you show me the tower?
the
I never got to see it. That beautiful sight. I have it in my head.
well, because the scene that I brought you to was the river walk.
Oh, that is beautiful.
I'm so sad that they didn't see it, but the actual tower is right back here.
Oh, God, that would have been a beautiful sight.
Yep.
I wish I can go there to just take a look at San Antonio from the height.
You really should. It's pretty. It's real, real pretty. I've never been up there myself, actually, being a native.
See, I look at that and
It's an expensive restaurant up there, guys.
I imagine.
It is like $50 a plate. Like, not even joking.
I believe it. But I want. I definitely. Oh God, I have a plan, but God, it is risky as all get out.
I'm so excited for your plans.
It is literally dependent on a botch roll.
Oh.
It is mechanically the entire plan requires a botch.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah. But
if that's what you want, good luck with that.
If I win, if I win, oh God!
No spoilers. No spoilers for the audience.
You don't want to know?
No, not for the audience, definitely. But at some point, you're probably gonna overjoy and end up telling me anyway.
Fair enough. That's what I do. That's the problem.
That is what you do. Yep.
But to the audience, thank you very much for coming in. If you guys haven't hit the follow yet, please do. We're playing more San Antonio by night every single Wednesday starting at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're also here to end up supporting CoffeeCat when we end up needing our caffeine fix. His art stream that is going on independently, so you're not sure when it's going to crop up. So you better be able to end up following those notifications by hitting that follow button. If you want to support this kind of content, you want to support CoffeeCat, then you need to end up hitting that sub button, because you're going
Yes.
to get cat emotes. Yes, we end up getting a sub immediately from the corrupt fool, our good friend Tom, who has
Tom,
been
thank you so much for this sub. 2 months in a row. Thank you.
yeah, has been with us for 2 freaking months. Congratulations. And wow, I am so glad to end up seeing that. That ends up making that swells my heart, knowing that I can end up helping out CoffeeCat like this just by being able to end up, shamelessly plugging him like I'm shamelessly plugging him on his own stream. How do you like that, CoffeeCat? How do you like that?
I mean, if you're not watching the stream, I'm grinning ear to ear like Gutter. You got a fucking gutter grin on my fucking face.
You are certainly sire's childer.
Ah, yes. But yeah. The plan is for the next 3 weeks that we will have Wednesdays, but then Christmas falls on a Wednesday, so I don't think we'll be streaming that day. So
Well, probably. I think almost everybody's not going to be streaming Christmas. They'll probably kick it up in the new year. That being said, you know, I
we do
I'm
have.
working on something in the background for you, Coffee Cat. I'm
Oh,
working on something in the background for you. I can't
oh.
tell you what it is yet.
I want spoilers.
You want spoilers?
Well, whatever you're working on. What is that? Is that your machinations in the game, or is that something else?
Um.
I like surprises
Well,
too, but I like
you,
spoilers too.
I
Cause
I
I'm
am
that guy.
hoping,
I like both.
because a bit of a Christmas gift, and I'm gonna PM this to you.
Mm. Hmm. Hmm. You better be thinking about what you want for Christmas, my dude.
Don't worry about me.
I want to give you something. Let me give you something.
All right, you want to give me something? You want to what you end up here? You try and follow along. I want to end up seeing on what you do with that. Add that to your channel repertoire.
Okay, let's see what we're looking at here. Let's see what we're looking at here. Ooh. Ooh.
I'm still working out the logistics and seeing if we can end up getting some more commissions in to get it supported. But if I manage to end up pulling it off, fantastic.
Nice.
So, for those of you who don't know, myself and Coffee Cat, we both end up supporting ourselves, um, trying to get out of the 9 to 5 grind by putting our 9 to 5 grind on Twitch.
Right?
So we end up doing art streams, so every sub, every gift sub, every commission, every
Every
quick
follow.
sketch, everything ends up helping out.
Every
So
lurk.
if you want to, yep, every lurk. But if you want to go one step beyond, if you want to go, what do the weebs call it? Plus ultra,
Plus
right? If you
ultra.
want to go plus ultra, right? Share this with somebody else who might take interest, right? If you got tabletop role players in your life, if you got people who are into horror, if you're interested in people who like stuff like House of Cards or something like that, trust me, Urien's the guy to play or follow with that one.
Oh man,
If
I
you
love
want to
Urien
end up
so
seeing it,
much.
share share the content.
Yes.
That's how these streams grow, is entirely word of mouth. So
Exactly.
by
Share us
all
on all
means,
your Discords that have promotions. Share us on all of your Facebooks, your Twitters, your Instagrams, all of that stuff. All of that stuff can be
okay.
followed
Yeah. And we gotta
if
give a
you.
huge shout out actually to Vancouver by Night,
Yes.
who Vancouver by Night has posted San Antonio as the default Wednesday game.
Mm.
So in the entire script, where you can actually watch all of the family's games being broadcast, you will end up finding that McStabber and myself end up sharing a space on Sunday, but Wednesday is all Coffee Cat presents San Antonio by Night, Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. Believe it.
Man, you're competing real hard with Volvo for hype man right now.
I
Volvo
don't
is the
self hype.
permanent. Volvo is the permanent
I,
hype man, but you are hyping me right now on par with him. I appreciate you, sir. Also,
all right.
consider yourself with 1 XP. I think we're since it's a solo game, we're gonna kind of do
I'd
the
rather you slow it down. I'd
little
rather you
chill.
slow it down myself.
Yeah.
Just because. Let's edit that. Okay, so I'm gonna bump that up to 25.
We got anything we're wanting to spend today?
So that is gonna give me 25. I am doing a quick look here.
Okay, okay.
5. So it gives me 6 XP to spend.
Yes, it do.
Hmm. I think. Hmm. Are we going right into the next night, or are we gonna wait, or is it gonna fast forward a bit?
Depending on, because also San Antonio by Night is accepting applications for 2 new players, I think, at this point.
Hmm?
Um, so we'll have yeah, 2 seats open. Um, and we have an application form in the Discord. There's several people who have already talked to me about their concepts. They just haven't filled out the form yet. But if you want to get in on some of this, please submit an application, and we will run you through character creation and concept and see if we can't crank out a one shot, maybe. Because I want to be able to play with you guys so that we can have that as part of the interview process. Um,
Yep.
but
And
that is what we're
so
looking
we
for.
got that going. Yep, we got that going.
That's in the
And
Discord.
yeah, so feel free to end up joining up. You remember, join the here CoffeeCats in here in Discord to end up keeping up with all the here random here images. And if you guys haven't already, to end up following because he is currently illustrating the final pages of Mouse's Embrace from Detroit by Night. The Motor City broke down every single Sunday. You better believe that I'm trying to end up making this like as if it's out to be some kind of goddamn wrestling promo. Ooh, yeah.
Advertise like a shameless whore.
Yeah, I'll plug God Killers too if J-Man was in here.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, and also not that we need to, but actually, you know what? I'm gonna toss this one up to you, Coffee Cat, because it's a layup. I'm
Mm.
tossing Maddie Morgs to you.
Yes, Maddie does wonderful, wonderful D&D 101 for I was about to say Vampire Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. Uh, he does that Wednesday through Saturday, and on Tuesdays we put that into practice by playing. Well, it doesn't really have a title because that's a thing, but
Because it's Chroma Company. That's
because
what you
it's
need to know.
the Chroma Company campaign
Yeah. But
for for that. So yeah, we're
that being said, Maddie Moore's got to take some time off this week.
yes,
So, in order to make it up to you, our our community, because we very much have a shared community here,
we do.
I'm going to do my best to see. Right now, tonight, we had San Antonio by Night. Tomorrow, if Maddie's unable to end up providing a stream, I will end up doing so. I'm not sure what we're going to do. It might be playing some video games. It might be doing some illustration. I might end up just saying, screw it, who wants to end up playing? Bring a pre-made character sheet, we'll run it anyway. You know,
Mm.
we do not know what's going to happen, but we can definitely end up telling you we're going to be involving story, we're going to be involving horror, and we're going to involve a boat ton of sass and shameless self-plugging because that's what we do here.
And tomorrow might actually be an early start for Caffeine Fix because I have nothing else going on tomorrow. So I'll probably do a stream after this if you guys want to stick around for some art because I'm probably going to do it anyway. Might as well stream it. But early start tomorrow probably for Caffeine Fix. We're probably looking at sometime 5 o'clock Mountain Standard Time,
Fantastic.
thereabouts. If I don't get up any earlier than that and start doing things just because, but that usually runs till about midnight.
All right, Coffee Cat. I think then you're gonna want to end up closing down here, San Antonio by night. Take a
Yes.
quick breather. End up here getting rejuvenated. Everybody, stick around because guess what? We are having a late night caffeine fix tonight. Believe the hype.
Yes.
You goddamn right, Volvo. I ended up doing. I am one upping you as hype man because that's what I do. I don't think you've ever seen me unleashed when I ends up turning into me being the hype man. I can do that.
Nah, this is gold. This is Derek Gold right here, guys. Anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in for Vampire the Masquerade San Antonio by Night. Yeah, be back in about 10-15 minutes to start up some caffeine fix, and we'll see you there.